Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a great morning so far today. Thank you so much for joining us here at Commerce for our eighth webinar in our 2021 Workforce and Retention webinar series. Like I said, it is the eighth one in the series, and it is also the last one where we're featuring Apprenticeship Carolina. Before we get started today, I'd just like to go over a few of the housekeeping rules that we have in place. This webinar, it's being recorded, as you already know, and everyone has joined the meeting or the webinar with muted mics and cameras off. We ask that you please use the chat feature to submit any questions, and those questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. The webinar recording, along with any slides or additional information, will be sent to you via email at the end of the presentation. And if there's any additional information from Apprenticeship Carolina, then it'll certainly be included in a nice little package for you. Also, at the end, you will receive a brief survey. And it's just 3 questions, 2 yes and no questions, and 1 asking you for a list or a topic that's important to you. And this will help us tailor future webinars to help fit your needs. This series began in June as a response to a survey. And earlier this year, we did have a survey through Commerce, and we surveyed 2,000 companies. And on that, we was looking for feedback. We wanted to know of the connections that we offered. Did it help their business? Wanted to know if they received what they needed, and also if those connections, what kind of impact they had on their business as well. At the same time, the businesses were also asked to identify 3 of the most important strategic opportunities or challenges that they had with their company. And employee recruitment and retention was number 1. It was number 1 then, and it's still number 1 now. So today's webinar is our last in the webinar series, and in a few minutes, we will hear from Dr. Amy Firestone of Apprenticeship Carolina, and she will share some workforce recruitment resources and information. They may help you envision or maybe take a different approach to building your workforce. Before Amy begins her presentation, let's take a look to see who's here today. On the next slide, you'll see a pie chart, and on that chart, you'll see a snapshot of some of the industries represented today. And it also tells the story of how South Carolina businesses share some of the same needs and concerns when it comes to workforce and retentions. You can see from the chart that manufacturing, home care, travel and tourism, they all share some of the same challenges to some degree. Now, your go-to for your staffing needs and workforce needs are still workforce development. Still reach out to SC Do and SC Works and all the other programs the South Carolina offers to help you with your workforce and retention needs. This webinar series was originally created, and it was designed to introduce other workforce or staffing options that may be unfamiliar to you. For some, Apprenticeship Carolina is unfamiliar, but we have Dr. Amy Firestone here today to tell you more about their offerings. So let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Amy. Dr. Amy Firestone is the Vice President of Apprenticeship Carolina for the South Carolina Technical College System. She leads a multidisciplinary team of consultants in expanding youth and adult apprenticeships across the state. Before joining the Apprenticeship Carolina team, Dr. Firestone served as the Dean of Continuing Education and Professional Development at Miami-Dade College, which is the largest community college in the nation. As dean, she led 8 campuses in adult education, workforce education, corporate training, and recreation and leisure initiatives. Prior to Miami-Dade College, Dr. Firestone was the Senior Advisor on Education in the Office of Apprenticeship for the United States Department of Labor. At the Department of Labor, she led the Department of Labor's Registered Apprenticeship College Consortium, which is also known as RACC, and that consisted of more than 400 colleges nationwide and led the nation's youth apprenticeship policy development. Dr. Firestone earned a bachelor's degree in Hispanic Studies from the College of William and Mary. She earned a master's degree in Latin American Studies and a doctoral degree in Spanish sociolinguistics from the University of Illinois. In addition to her scholarly accomplishments, she is also a published author. Dr. Firestone, she's up next, and I encourage you to use the chat box to ask questions and later make any appointment to speak with her if you have any questions specific to your business needs. At this time, we're ready for you, Dr. Amy. Are you on?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, Sonia, thank you so much for that introduction. I really appreciate the opportunity to be the last presentation in this series and to get to meet with all of the different constituents that you all are working with around the state. And I know that we have a list of folks, some are already here and some are joining, and I know that there's a lot of individuals from the manufacturing sector who have joined, the services sector, healthcare, travel and tourism, and I'm excited to have you on today for those who are new to apprenticeship. While I can't see you or hear you, I would love if you have never met anyone from Apprenticeship Carolina before, or me, if you could just put your name and what business you work for or organization in the chat. That way I can kind of see who's here right now and get in touch with you later to share more. So if you don't mind just sharing that information in the chat as I move through the presentation, I'd really appreciate that, so we can talk a little bit more. Next slide, please. So before we kind of dive in, there we go. Before we want to dive in, I wanted to tell you, we've been hearing a lot of similar issues from companies. And I'll tell you about Apprenticeship Carolina and what we do, but in my job as a Vice President of Apprenticeship Carolina, working across the state, and with my team who's working with businesses across the state, we're hearing all of these different things from multiple companies. And I have little bubbles here with what we've been hearing. And I want for you all to think about, these are things that you're thinking about too, or are you thinking about other things? We hear companies tell us we have 100 open positions statewide. Sometimes it's more than that. We hear them saying that new staff will stay for 6 months, then leave for just an insignificant raise. Could be even 10 cents. We hear that our key leaders are retiring in the next 3 to 5 years. Our most experienced supervisors or technicians are leaving us. They're retiring. And that we can't find qualified individuals for those open roles, whether it's 100 roles, 50 roles, etc. And then we can't hire teenagers to do the job, but if we can, young people, we don't know how to hire them or where to find them. We don't know how that works. So these are a lot of the things that my team and I have heard when we visit companies of all sizes. And I know that you all are representing small businesses and other organizations, but we hear the same thing from companies that are, 20 people and fewer to organizations that have hundreds of people. So we definitely know that there are a lot of challenges for all different types of businesses in South Carolina and nationally. I'm appreciating everyone's introductions in the chat here. I also wanted to see if you all wanted to throw in other things in terms of workforce challenges with staffing. Is there anything that you all would tell me or my team when we would visit and meet with you that's not on this slide? If you don't mind just popping that into the chat as we move through the presentation. I want to see if there's other things that you all are really struggling with right now, given where we're at. The next slide, please. So you are not alone, and I know that we'll see in the chat a lot of you kind of chime in about some of the things I had on the past slides. Like I said, the businesses we work with, that we have about 1,200 that have apprenticeships right now in South Carolina, and we have over 100 businesses that are in progress of creating that. So you are not alone with these workforce challenges. And I want to talk to you today, no matter how small your business is, even if it's just 2 people, which we do have just some companies that have apprenticeships with 2 people, we're here to help. Next slide, please. So Apprenticeship Carolina, we can help you at no cost and actually bring your business more revenue. And that's what I really want for small businesses to understand, is that we're a service that is free to any business in the state. And we have some results that I'll share with you later, that by investing in apprenticeships to really meet those concerns that I showed you through those bubbles, we can bring you more revenue and more long-term success for the company. Next slide, please. So who are we? Through all the different meetings that a lot of our team has around the state, we get a lot of questions about who we are and what we do and how we can actually help you and bring more revenue in through apprenticeships. So as you can see on our logo, we are part of the South Carolina Technical College System, and we are the main entity in the state of South Carolina for helping develop and implement registered apprenticeships with the U.S. Department of Labor. So I'll go through kind of what all of that means, but next slide, please. So just to give you kind of the broad map for those who are brand new to hearing about Apprenticeship Carolina, as I mentioned before, we're part of the South Carolina Technical College System. So we are partnered with the 16 technical colleges statewide. We work, if you see on this map, we work hand in hand with ReadySC and eZone, which you might be familiar with, that are two other programs housed within the technical college system. And we are a separate division that focuses on working with businesses, like I said, of any size, and helping them develop their apprenticeship program with one of the 16 technical colleges, K-12, and other organizations. The technical college as a whole provides support and resources for training for companies, and Apprenticeship Carolina has been doing this in the state since 2007. And as you can see on the bottom, we're very nimble and flexible with how we work with the education piece. So I'll go into that in a few moments, but we work across continuing education and credit programs to design an apprenticeship that really meets the needs of your individual business, not another business, but really what you're looking for to train people up, and how that training can help you increase productivity, which also leads to more revenue. So next slide, please. So just to give you a bit more background on who we are, again, as I mentioned, we are the lead in South Carolina for registered apprenticeships. And the second part of our mission really talks about partnerships, because I mentioned before the technical colleges, K-12, community organizations, and businesses, we all come together to design these programs. And the programs that we support are youth, adult registered apprenticeships, and I'll go into that in a few moments, and then pre-apprenticeships. And our resources, we are state funded, and we have a lot of funding though from the federal level. We help companies directly, one-on-one, create, maintain, and maximize your apprenticeship. So we help you get the program designed and help you with the implementation. And we are very committed to career pathways, and that's through our work with the 16 colleges and ensuring that individuals do have a career pathway through an apprenticeship program through our work together. So more to come on that. Next slide, please. So to tell you about our team, because it's important to know kind of who we are and where we're at in the state, we have over 20 individuals and counting that are here to help you with designing and implementing your registered apprenticeship. Apprenticeship consultants are really your first contacts in starting this process, and they are located all throughout the state. And they are there to meet with you one-on-one, come to your business, meet with you on Zoom, on Teams, and help you walk you through the DOL registration process and actually do all of the paperwork for you. And I'll go into that in a minute. Then the registered program specialists are also scattered throughout the state, and they come in to help you implement the program, help you navigate the resources, and make sure that your program is fully registered as well as your apprentices are. And then one of our newer roles are the youth apprenticeship coordinators for those businesses interested in working with high school students or older youth, 18 to 24. They're there to help work directly with the apprentices and make sure they're successful. So our team has full support for each part of the process with your apprenticeship program. So if you are new to this, just know that Apprenticeship Carolina has the resources to meet with you, walk you through the process, and be there to support you. Next slide, please. So before we talk about kind of how you can get started, I thought it's important to discuss what is a registered apprenticeship. And I know that on the line today, I do see some familiar names, but a lot of new ones as well. So I'm always always want to give the big picture for what is a registered apprenticeship, because it is a unique program, very different from other training programs you might be familiar with, such as internships, co-ops, job shadowing. Those types of programs are all different types of work-based learning, but registered apprenticeship really stands, on one side of the spectrum because it is a full-blown job opportunity that it has a structured pathway for a specific occupation. So next slide, please. So just to briefly give you an overview of what this program is, because this is something that you would work with our team on designing, is really think about, what occupational needs you have. And we'll go through this in a few moments, but you're going to take a look at what on-the-job learning is needed for your business to be successful in a certain career, in a certain occupation, and then what job-related education goes with that. And that can be something that's offered at one of the 16 colleges in K-12, combination of both, or something internal that you provide. And that component, the job-related education plus the on-the-job learning, is mapped to a scalable wage. So individuals, all of your apprentices are actually employees at your company. They're on your payroll, and you are supervising them. You're actually designating a mentor to help make sure they are, completing the program, moving through it with success. And you are rewarding those apprentices. So the Department of Labor requires that there's one wage increase, so the apprentices see how, as they grow through the program, they are compensated for the extra skills they gain. So you are working with us to design a program that's uniquely your company's, but that includes these required elements to be a U.S. Department of Labor registered apprenticeship. And this entire process is something we work with you on designing, and I'll go through that in a few minutes. But individuals who do finish the program successfully earn a national credential from the U.S. Department of Labor, indicating that they are proficient in the occupation that they were an apprentice for. So that's just one of the benefits to a registered apprenticeship, and really taking the time to develop these components. And there's a lot of other benefits for companies that I'll go into in a few moments. So I wanted to give you the big picture first. So next slide, please. So you might ask, well, I'm in manufacturing, or I'm, in hospitality, or I'm actually in a manufacturing, plant that has a lot of IT needs or maintenance needs. Well, I have good news for everybody on the line. Pretty much every industry is adaptable for apprenticeships, and there's over 1,000 occupations that are approved from Department of Labor to have an apprenticeship. And, there's a lot of ways we can help find an apprenticeship that currently exists, but if there is a new need, a new occupation, there's also a process to get new occupations approved by Department of Labor. But pretty much we run the gamut, and in South Carolina, as everyone's on the line is aware, we have strength in the manufacturing sector. So currently about a third of our apprenticeships are in manufacturing in South Carolina, another third are in healthcare, and then that last third are kind of scattered among a lot of the other industries you see on the screen here. So we have experience helping companies, like I said, of all sizes and among all industries. So looking forward to exploring this with you all. Next slide, please. So we get a lot of times this question, well, who can really be an apprentice? Because I like this program. I like that it could be for my business of 10 people, and that, we're an IT company or we're an insurance company. Well, the good news is that it's legal for anyone 16 and up in the U.S. to be a registered apprentice. And the companies, you all really decide who you're looking for as your pool of potential apprentices. It can be current employees looking to bring them up through the company. For example, maybe in a restaurant, you have an employee who is, a host or a hostess, and they really are passionate about going into the culinary arts field. Well, how can you put them through an apprenticeship to be a cook? That's just a kind of a big example. But there are many ways to really upskill your current employees, or you can use apprenticeships to attract new talent for individuals who have no experience in your industry or in your field, but they really want to gain that experience and ultimately work at your company. This is a great way to offer an apprenticeship, so that way you're going to train them in your company's culture and your company's way of doing things, and have them learn your processes, to then become a full-blown, full-time employee who grows with you. So that's really up to the company to assess, and there can be multiple options for every company. And again, you all decide the education requirement. So if this is a program that requires an associate's degree, a high school diploma, really you all make that decision based on the skill set that you are looking for and the requirements that your company has. So youth apprenticeship is very much growing around the nation, and South Carolina has been a national model for youth apprenticeship. The first youth apprenticeship in South Carolina was with MTU, America, and Aiken. And then the Charleston Regional Youth Apprenticeship Program has grown significantly after that time. And then all around the state in South Carolina, we have regional youth apprenticeship initiatives that are ongoing. That includes the Tri-County Tech area, Spartanburg. We also have Piedmont, Midland, Horry, Georgetown, Williamsburg, and other smaller initiatives going on. So there's a lot of energy and momentum right now around youth apprenticeship. And youth apprenticeship is for businesses to really decide, how do we grow our talent from a younger age? Because we understand that, many times when individuals graduate high school, sometimes they just don't have a plan. They don't even know what interests them. Or, they just find the nearest place near their house to work part-time and maybe go to school. Well, you all can be kind of in control, I guess, of the options and opportunities you present to high school students through building a youth apprenticeship that combines what they're learning in high school with what you all need to have people trained in for future employees. And we have a lot of success in the state, a lot of success stories from youth who have purchased homes and trucks after completing 2 years of a registered apprenticeship, and that's in multiple parts of South Carolina. So these students, you can look for them within the career and technology programs or just in, the regular high school programs. They can be adult education students and out-of-school youth. Again, you all decide their education requirements, what coursework they need to be taking, and what minimum, coursework they need to already have before they work for you. So that's all up to the company. Next slide, please. So what do the businesses get out of it? As you can see, there's a lot of brainstorming involved in designing, an apprenticeship that works. There's a lot of decisions that need to be made about which, pool of applicants to work with and which education providers. What do you ultimately get out of it? And we have a lot of data to show you. Next slide, please. So I wanted to summarize the benefits of designing and registering an apprenticeship. This is just a little checklist, that we have, and I'll kind of talk you through it. You have a highly skilled workforce, and I'm just going to skip to the third one, who have standardized skills, and then that last one is increased productivity. Because imagine if you bring on 3 apprentices, let's say, and they're all going to be trained in your maintenance technician apprenticeship that you've designed. Well, they're all going to go through the same standardized training plan that has been designed by you and made official through the U.S. Department of Labor's registration process. So each individual is going to go through the same checklist, earning the same background and being supervised on those tasks. And also through that process, they're taking the same coursework. So they're getting the same education. So you're getting employees who have gone through a structured process, but also when they finish it, they're also feeling more excited because they've been earning money. They're getting college credits in many cases, and they're earning different industry recognized credentials through their coursework or through the training that you're providing on site. So you're coming out with individuals who are more loyal to the company. They have a mentor who has been overseeing them. They feel like they know the company's culture better than if they weren't going through this program. And so that contributes to that reduced turnover there. And we have some data to back that up. So these are just kind of some of the benefits of hiring apprentices versus other programs, because you have that standardized training and then the apprentices come out fully proficient in the occupation that you've designed for them. And they have a national portable credential, which also has a lot of value for them, which can help reduce turnover and, of course, increase productivity because they feel that they know the company well and that they understand where their place fits into the overall production of the company. So there is a state tax credit. I think that's on the next slide, please. Oh, I think it's next one after this. I might go back to this one. Thank you. So South Carolina also offers $1,000 per apprentice tax credit for up to 4 years. So that's available to any company in the state to file for, and it can be a huge, incentive for you to offset some other costs. And I'll go over a little bit some of the other financial benefits. If you don't mind going back to the last slide, please. Thank you. So, looking from a business standpoint, you want to know what you're actually getting out of this, dollars and cents. Well, we've taken the time to do several return on investment studies with the University of South Carolina, and I wanted to present to you one that was done just a year ago. 250 companies were surveyed in the state that have apprenticeship programs that have been running for a while. And the return on investment these companies reported was 41 cents for every dollar they invested. And that ROI, as you can see, looking at these little infographics, it went up in 5 years. So, and then if you look on the far right, you can also see the net benefit in subsequent years, growing from year 5, $1.41 to $2.35 in year 7. So a lot of the companies in South Carolina have been doing apprenticeships for a while, since we've been around since 2007. So we've been able to track their ROI over time. The manufacturing sector, because I know that many of you are representing that sector, have found to have the largest benefit for apprenticeships. But I did want to point to that bottom statistic that the apprenticeship program has proven to provide longer average tenure for employees. So apprentices stayed 3.2 years longer at companies versus staff or employees who did not go through an apprenticeship. So I know we talked about people kind of leaving because of retirements or getting a raise somewhere else. Well, the apprenticeship has results in South Carolina in terms of improving, an employee's tenure at the company. So that's just the latest study that we've done. We have some more studies I'd be glad to send out through Sonia later on as well regarding youth apprenticeships. So next slide, please. And if you can move to the next one, please. So I want to give, if you could go, yeah, this one's good, thank you. I wanted to see in the chat, did anyone, have any questions before I dive into kind of how you get started? I know there were some questions that came through, previously that I can answer at the end, but did anyone have any questions? So I think we're a smaller group right now. I'd be glad to kind of look in the chat. Okay.
There's one question,
none,
Amy.
Okay.
Did you see that one from Maritime Association? Just asking if you had any data
Yes.
on apprenticeships for the
Yes, I do see that. No, thank you. Thank you, Sonia. I do see that. Yes, we do have some data, and if you wouldn't mind, I can
You're
send
breaking
that
up a little bit. I think you said yes, but we'll certainly get that.
Yes. Can you all hear me? Okay, great. I'll continue, and yes, we do have data available on specific industries that we'd be glad to share, from where in the state, the number of apprentices. All the data is also available on the Department of Labor webpage, but it is difficult to navigate. So we like to give, out South Carolina kind of tailor-made reports to make it easier to find everything. So be glad to share that with you. So our process, so now that you've decided that this might be something you want to explore, I wanted to share with you kind of what to expect. And this was, you see a company name on here. This is kind of something that we tailor make for every company. So I wanted to show you one that I had tailor made for Public. But obviously that's a large company, but any company, like I said, whether it's 2 people who manage and run the company or hundreds to thousands, we use the same process. It's called the Discovery, Design, Delivery. So when you work with the Apprenticeship Carolina team, you'll understand that we also have a structured process for working with you to develop the registered apprenticeship. If you don't mind going to the next slide, please. So the biggest part of the apprenticeship is the discovery process. And I know we're almost at lunchtime, so I hope that none of these things are too tempting for you on the screen. But we really sit down with you to assess your company's critical needs and what areas are difficult to hire for. And for some companies, it's just an automatic kind of, well, it's CNAs. We have a shortage, of CNAs. It's really kind of easy to think about, but for other companies, the discovery process takes a little bit more time. And we help work with you to kind of show you samples of other apprenticeships and kind of how they've been designed to help you figure out what makes sense for your company. And the process can take, as fast as you want the discovery process. It could be the same day. We have some companies say, hey, I know I need 5 apprenticeships, for these specific occupations, 3 adults, two youth. Great. Well, let's get started. But other companies do need time to really assess kind of where they're having turnover. And you'll be surprised that many companies, you might say, well, that's a healthcare company or that's a manufacturing company, so we'll pull out all the manufacturing occupations. Sometimes the turnover is, obviously in other departments where in a manufacturing company, well, we need welders or we need, HR. We need HR support. We need to find apprentices who can go through our company for the HR track. So really think creatively here about what area an apprenticeship can be a fit for, and you can have multiple apprenticeships. A lot of companies, I think, in South Carolina, our recent data shows that 1 out of every 3 companies has multiple occupations. Some of them have 5 and 10 because they see, wow, this really works, and they come up with a process. And they add more very quickly. So just know that this discovery process, it is a process, but we can help you work through looking at what those critical needs are. And then also, it's really important to think about the pipeline because that will help us determine what resources are available and kind of who we need to pull into the conversation. Whether you're connected to one of the colleges or other providers in the state, we'll help bring them into the conversation for you and help with designing the curriculum piece. They really help with that. But thinking about, are there current employees you have who you really want to help move them to a different career track within your company or help upskill them within the same career path? So that's something that we do a lot of times for companies is really the incumbent worker apprenticeships. But then looking at talented young people who are in high school or in college, how can you recruit new talent? So that's just something that we really encourage companies to really think through because that's kind of the main part of that discovery process to help get to the next stage. So next slide, please. So, I have a couple more slides. I do want to open it up for any questions, but I want to say the time is right now for you to think about starting an apprenticeship based on kind of those bubbles and other concerns you might have because Apprenticeship Carolina has close to $19.2 million in funding from the U.S. Department of Labor for apprenticeships, and that includes every business in South Carolina that can do an apprenticeship. So I wanted to tell you what that funding is about because we want for you all to know how you can access some of these funds. It includes complete hands-on support, so we have additional staff members who we've hired and will be hiring to help work with small businesses. Our grant funding can help cover all of your tuition costs at the technical colleges. Also with other providers, that's something brand new. And then we have something new we're starting very soon, and I'll make sure Sonia gets this information to send to you all, is we're starting a new employer incentive funding program. And this is funding that companies can access from us to help you start a new apprenticeship. It can cover mentor training costs, different supplies, coursework, and other costs. So we'll be sharing all of those details soon, but it is a significant amount per new apprentice. And then what's really exciting is that we can offer supportive services for apprentices in addition to all these other items. So this can help cover their transportation, if there are childcare costs, even rent and electric bills. So there's a host of items we can help support so your apprentices have a lot more resources to be successful. So I want to mention that the time is right now for every industry to be looking at apprenticeships. The money is here in South Carolina. and we can't wait to work with you. So next slide, please. So results for South Carolina, I want to kind of wrap up with this. Next slide. So now that you've heard what is a registered apprenticeship, who is Apprenticeship Carolina, what resources we have, you can see that you won't be alone in joining the apprenticeship family for the state. Since our inception, we have over 37,000 apprentices who have taken part of the program. We're nearing 1,200 companies. Like I mentioned, any size company is a fit for an apprenticeship. So within that number, we do have very small companies and very large ones. And then out of that, we're growing youth apprenticeships. So on the far right, that's 276 companies right now that have youth apprenticeship programs. Many of them have adult programs as well. So you can always start with an adult program and then add a youth one, or vice versa. So I just wanted to show you the growth and the opportunity, because we have so many different samples and ways to really help you find the right resources, whether it's with community partners or through the colleges. There's just a lot of money and opportunity here for you all to bring more revenue to your company and reduce these workforce challenges through apprenticeships. Next slide, please. So I did want to mention I'm in transit right now, so I would love to show you all, if you want to click on this link when you have a chance. We just finished South Carolina Apprenticeship Month in November, and this is a special month for the state in which Governor McMaster issues a proclamation, but also we celebrate all the success stories from apprentices, businesses, and our education providers through different events. So 2021 was a big year for us in general, and you can see we have a video of a year of first. So we were able to launch a lot of different partnerships to help our businesses grow apprenticeships. So for example, working with the Urban League to develop the first pre-apprenticeship to help young individuals from minority backgrounds advance their leadership skills and land into apprenticeships. And also we initiated a partnership with the South Carolina Commission for Minority Affairs. So we're working very hard on a lot of new partnerships that will help everybody connect the dots and help companies get access to the right resources. So please check out that link to see all the different highlights from around the state, and you can read some of the stories from apprentices and hear about their success. So next slide, please. So I just wanted to kind of wrap up and summarize why apprenticeships for small businesses in South Carolina. And this is just summarizing what I discussed, but when you think about small businesses, we know that there's a lot on your plate, that you are managing many different aspects of the business, and sometimes you're doing that by yourself with just a few staff members. But apprenticeship can really help you, maintain what you have, but also grow and help influence the next generation of employees to help you carry on your business. And that's my first point here. You're providing them with a free education and also an education through the apprenticeship that matches your business, not somebody else's business, not somebody else's training center. You're going to bring in more revenue because you're going to have employees who are more productive, more committed, and more devoted to your company because you've invested in them. And that revenue you've seen is apparent for all companies that take the time to develop this program and fully implement it. And starting very soon, you're going to receive startup funds for your apprenticeship. So that's something we'll be rolling out. And that's a way to really help a smaller business, figure out how this program will work at their company. As I mentioned, you're going to be reducing turnover because you're going to be hiring apprentices who you're going to really train up through your company's culture. And I want to just remind everybody, small business culture is really aligned with apprenticeships. I know that a lot of small businesses are family run. And so you're really focused on training that next generation. So small businesses are a really great fit for apprenticeship. Next slide, please. So there are those cupcakes again on my screen and some piggy banks because we want you to save money in the long term by investing in apprenticeships, but also get richer through those cupcakes. And that's kind of my image here for your takeaway. But if you have a minute to put in the chat, what takeaway do you have? What follow-up items do you want to connect with us on? If you want to leave any ideas in the chat, I know we got one request for data, but glad to kind of see how we can delve deeper into any of these areas and help get you started. And I think I have another slide. I have my contact information up on this slide if you want to reach out to me directly. And then the last slide, which however you want to leave it up, has all of our social media, so you can follow us on all the major social media channels, because we do a lot of work to promote your businesses and your apprenticeships to the nation and to the world. We have a lot of followers who are interested in South Carolina's Apprenticeship Carolina program. So just take a look at that, and we'll like and tweet your things, and you'll do the same for us. So we're really excited about promoting our success with working with you. So that's all I have. I know we have some minutes for questions, so I will be here to answer anything. Sonia, if you want me to turn it back over to you as well.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Firestone. This has been some great information, and I'm hoping that the folks on the line will take advantage of the apprenticeship program. I know a little earlier we did have a question for John, and he was looking for professional development for existing employees to increase employee retention rates within his company. A little bit outside of the apprenticeship program, but I was thinking there was something offered through the technical college system for that.
Yes, most definitely. Any of the technical colleges, a lot of them, their continuing education departments can help work with you to design, training that meets your needs, and they also have a lot of training already in place. So we can definitely help connect you to one of the colleges for that resource. But the apprenticeship obviously would be with the job and the education combined and all those other elements.
We have a few more questions hit the chat box too. Thanks, Amy, for your answer for that one. Teresa wants to know, how can I assist my program participants in getting into an apprenticeship program?
Sure. So I'll say that right now we're going to be creating a job board so you can see all of the different open apprenticeships. But in the interim, we do have registered program specialists throughout the state who can connect you with the open opportunities, because out of those 1,200 companies, some of them might be hiring right now. Some of them may not be hiring until the spring or the summer. Every company kind of looks at what availability they have to bring on apprentices so they'll get the support they need. So if you'd like to reach out to me, I can connect you to the right person to help you with the opportunities that are open right now.
Great, thank you so much. Here we have another. Let's see. Any tips for associations trying to encourage
I think the question was about associations.
The representatives in the area. I think it's a great opportunity. I have one it's a great opportunity. Or when you get into this, in the tips for associations trying to encourage our member companies to take advantage of the program.
Yes, so we do a lot of outreach with different associations in the state, and typically, doing a joint presentation, coming to a luncheon, that is usually effective to kind of see who's more interested and having those one-on-one conversations with specific businesses. But I think the real incentive that will be coming soon that can help bring on more companies through an association, point of contact, is through that employer incentive funding, because that is more than icing on the cake, I'd say, for helping start a new apprenticeship, is having some funding available for startup costs. So glad to talk to you directly about how we work with other associations and how we can do some strategic outreach. And creating metrics as well is definitely important. Another example I wanted to mention was that one of the chambers in the Beaufort area has used some funding to incentivize new employers, some of their own funding to give an extra kind of incentive to them beyond what we offer. So there are different ways to, to get more companies on board, but associations and chambers are really our key partners. So I'd love to work with you.
Great. Alex had a question as well. And he understands that Apprenticeship Carolina has a new Hispanic coordinator, and how developed is the support for Hispanic businesses?
Yes, we're really excited about our first ever bilingual registered program specialist. Her name is Brigida Romero, and she is going to be working. She just started 2 weeks ago, but she is working statewide. And I know, Alex, you asked that question, and so we'll be meeting to discuss that more. But working to really educate Latinx-owned businesses on apprenticeships and the benefits, the both financial and also really the workforce advantages that they would receive from adopting this program. And by having somebody who is bilingual can help navigate the Latinx community in the state will be critical for us doing that outreach.
Great. I have one more question. When an employee completes the apprenticeship program, are they obligated to stay with the same employer for a certain period of time afterwards?
That's a great question. And the answer is no. The intention of an apprenticeship is that you are building a pipeline, in your company, and that you will be assisting with, a full-time position. That's really the ultimate goal, is to get someone ready for that full-time position. But there's not a legal, responsibility from the company to provide that. But that should be kind of part of the intention when setting up a registered apprenticeship, is that you are building an individual to enter a full-time role.
Right, and I'm thinking on the flip side too, I guess once an employee sees that a company is investing in them to go through the program, that improves morale and employee retention overall at the end.
Exactly. And it's sometimes that the apprentices say, hey, I did this program, it's not a good fit for me, I'm moving on, and that's totally fine as well.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Amy. Are there any other questions? Certainly, if we miss it in the chat box, we will certainly send out any responses that we may have missed. I don't think we have, but we'll certainly go through and make sure that we have everything covered, and that we'll have a response for you for any other questions. If you think of anything afterwards, after we end this call, then we certainly reach out to us. Just reach out to Dr. Amy or myself, and we'll get in touch with you and get the answers that you need. But certainly, just because this webinar series may be over, it doesn't mean that the assistance is not there for you. We're going to continue to work with you and for you to help you with your workforce needs. Dr. Amy, did you have anything else to say before we close out?
No, I just wanted to thank you all for your participation, and for those who have, learned about us before but haven't reached out, please, this is the right time, because the funding is there to help you with those startup costs, and the team there to meet with you face to face. I know for a small business that it's really important to take time for those, in-person, face-to-face meetings, and we're here. So looking forward to hearing from you. And thank you, Sonia, for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for this being available for us to have this. And this is a great way to close out the webinar series. Not only are we providing another resource for everyone that's listening, but also there's some grant funds that's available that can help you out. Maritime is asking if we can get a copy of the slides. Yes, you can. They'll be right there included with the recording, and it may be an attachment as well, but you can certainly have that information, and that'll be provided to everyone that attended and registered for this webinar today. Thank you so much, Dr. Amy, for all the great information that you shared. I encourage everyone to make contact with Apprenticeship Carolina, and just to find out if it works for you, if any of their programs can benefit your business. On the slide right here, you have my contact information. Again, I'm the Small Business Outreach Manager here at Commerce, and I'm also your Small Business Outreach Manager. I am your resource for when you need to make connections with Apprenticeship Carolina or any other entities or any other resources that can help you with your business. Doesn't matter what it is, just give me a call and I'll certainly work with you and work for you to make sure you get the right answers. We have Dayton Ward. Dayton Ward is also part of our supplier outreach program team, and he's the program manager that manages the Source SC program here at Commerce. I do encourage you all, if you haven't already registered your company in our Source SC database, I do encourage you to do so. It's a great opportunity, and you get great resources to help you with B2B introductions when we have those B2B networking events for, let's say, the automotive industry, when they have their conference, for manufacturing, even for NASA. We've had B2Bs with NASA as well, but also for any type of webinar information and any kind of things that we have to share that help the business community. The supplier outreach team, they're a great resource for you when you need to connect with another employer, not employer, but a supplier or a larger manufacturer, OEM. I'm not sure if Dayton is on the line right now, but I just wanted him, if he is, just to chime in and tell us a little bit more about Source SC.
Hey there, good morning or well afternoon to everybody. Sonia, thank you. My name is Dayton Ward, and very quickly, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Source SC, Sonia was just talking about. I'm the supplier outreach manager here, and in the spirit of supporting our valued South Carolina businesses and industries, I'd like to share with you some of the resources and tools that we offer that may be of assistance to you in your business. Source SC is one in particular. It's a statewide material and service locator database that is leveraged to match specific capabilities of companies and their supply chain requirements. Businesses can work one-on-one with a Commerce team member for specific sourcing request, or utilize the database to find local suppliers, as well as be listed a local supplier to grow your business. Some of the benefits of registering in Source SC are notification of B2B networking and outreach events throughout the state, to be included in sourcing requests when a company contacts Commerce to be connected with local suppliers, and also to be listed in the industry directory found on our website. For the sake of confidentiality, direct contact information for company representatives is not shared on the site. That is information that we only share with your approval here at Commerce. Lastly, Source SC is available at no charge. The only requirement is that participating companies must have a physical presence in South Carolina. To learn more about the platform and get registered, please visit www.sourcesc.com. Of course, if anyone has got any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. I just included my contact information in the chat as well. If you'd like to copy and paste that, I would be happy to schedule a call with any of you to discuss any supplier needs that you've got, any networking opportunities that you're interested in, as well as Source SC. So please do not hesitate to reach out, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dayton. So there's a little bit more that we have to share. You see this other logo right under the Source SC logo, which is Size Up SC. And this is a great business tool that's found on our business development website here at Commerce. It's scbizdev.sccommerce.com. I will send that information out with all the other information afterwards, but this is a great resource tool for businesses just to see how you size up with companies like yours in your same city, your county, the state, and also nationwide. You'll get to see, since we're talking about workforce and retention, you'll get to see the payroll portion of it and what the hourly wages are. See how what you're paying compares to other companies in the area. See who your competition is when it comes to wages in your company. You'll also be able to find, let's see, customers. If you have a potential or a specific demographic that you're looking for, you can plug that into Size Up SC, and they'll be able to show you where these folks are located. Help you also to find your suppliers in the area. You might not have to go out of county. There might be some folks right here in your backyard that you may not know about, but certainly using this tool will help you locate your customers and your suppliers. So I encourage you just to play around with it. There's no passwords, no logins needed for this information, and it's all current. It's updated every quarter, and it's from large manufacturers all the way down to mom and pop stores and bodegas on the corner. It has all types of information. If it's running a business, that information is pulled into the Size Up SC tool. And it is a great tool to help you make business decisions regarding your business. Lastly, you see down there, you see the BizFeed logo. We ask that you subscribe to that because that's our business services web newsletter. And you'll see all types of information that's going to be beneficial to your company when we talk about those supplier events. If we have any other webinar events, any type of educational things that may come up and things that may be of interest to you, we certainly ask you to subscribe to that so you'll be in the know for things that are coming up. And lastly, I will get a chance to share the link to our YouTube channel. We have all of the webinars. We had 8 in total, and we started this series back in June, and we featured different companies or different agencies or organizations that provide us some type of workforce and retention services. So there's a different webinar each month. So all of those are listed on our YouTube channel as well. We want to thank you so much for joining us today and participating in our webinar series. And I hope you found value in the resources that we shared. And I hope you made some connections to help you with your workforce needs. Please do not be a stranger and feel free to reach out to us here at Commerce. We have Dr. Amy on now. You can reach out to her about the Apprenticeship Carolina programs. And if you need any additional resources to help you grow your business, please don't hesitate to contact us here at Commerce. I want to thank Dr. Firestone again. I want to thank Dayton Ward and also Terrell Prested for her assistance as well and contributions made to the webinar series. And at this time, we are done. This is the conclusion of our series and the webinar today. Hope you have a great afternoon, be safe, and have a wonderful holiday season.